Hey guys, my name is Brandon, and in this video, we're talking about my favorite recommendations for cameras, microphones, as well as capture cards. Let's get into this video. The way this video is going to be structured is that I'm going to break them up into sections. We're going to talk about microphones first, cameras, and then capture cards, and then give you my overall thoughts at the very end, specifically talking about your budget entry-level way to go, as well as something that you can get at the high end. Now, this video is not going to be focused on any specific price range, but I'm going to be showing you things that do fit in the budget range as well as the high tier range so that you can get straight into creating content. With all that out of the way, I do want to go ahead and say disclaimer, a lot of the products that you're going to see in this video have been sent by brands either in the past or whatever the case. I've bought several of these, but some of them have been sent over. That's not going to change anything. This video is not sponsored. No one's telling me to pay to make this video or anything like that. I'm just making this conglomerate video because I've been asked what are the budget options or the recommendations that you would do. So let's get on to microphones. So on this channel, we cover a bunch, and I want to say a bunch. I literally have an inordinate amount of microphones, and out of all of those, there are probably only a few I would actually say that you should invest your money in long term, and also options that you can get for a budget. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about my favorite microphones, but what we're talking about is what I would recommend for you to pick up and purchase. Now, a couple things to consider when you purchase a microphone. You can buy a microphone that's just pretty easy, like for example, this is the Fifine AM8, one of the microphones we will talk about, and this comes with just a little baby stand that will sit on the table. And a lot of creators or people who are game streaming or even just creating any kind of content will have some kind of a microphone arm to be able to use. And if you don't have a microphone arm, you might want to think about getting something like a bundled deal. Now, a lot of companies sell these bundled deals, but I actually asked Fifine to send over a few so I could talk about the benefits of getting a bundled deal. The K688 is this microphone. I've done so many videos on this microphone. It's a 50-something, 60-something dollar microphone that is USB as well as XLR. And in a blind test a couple of years ago when I did this against the SM7B, people ranked this higher, including myself. And so in some ways, out of box, this microphone is fantastic. And so they do have a couple of different bundle deals that come with an actual microphone arm, in which you can see right here, this is the K688CT. I think this is in the $60 price range. It comes with one of these more, not necessarily like a cheap, but it's like one of the maybe the lowest quality kind of microphone arms you can get, but it's only like $10 more to not only get a microphone arm that will clamp to your desk, as well as get the K688 to be able to go ahead and use this as a USB microphone in your setup. Now, you can invest a little bit more money, and even Fifine has the K688T with a much better microphone arm that I do think is something that you should consider if you're going to pick up one of these, but this is in the $80-$90 price range. And as a combo kit, when you're thinking about the microphone prices, yes, it's more expensive, but if you're going to want a mic arm, sometimes you can get really good deals if you bundle them together. On that same thread, for only $60, just over $60, you can get the AM6T, which is kind of an attractive microphone if you want some RGB on the stream. This one comes with a mic arm as well as having a really nice, just a lot of adjustments to be able to control what you're hearing in your headphones. I've reviewed all of these. I'll link all of the video reviews for the products that we're talking about in this down in the description if you want to go listen to what they sound like. This microphone I was pretty impressed with, honestly, out of box. The controls that it had were really nice. The mute on it, the game and chat balance knob to be able to control what you hear. It's really neat. And the microphone arm in here is also one of the cheaper microphone arms, but again, you get this bundled together. Now, Elgato also sells some kits, but not necessarily what you can buy bundled together. You can get it from their website. You can get the arm as well as the microphone itself and bundle them together on their website and purchase it. However, it's not something that they pre-bundle together, and on Amazon there are some listings for that if you want to find it. All of that out of the way, I'm going to talk about the microphones themselves and the ones that I recommend. Starting off with the Shure SM7B. This is one of those microphones that it's hard for me to say, yes, go spend $400. We're talking about the price of a current gen console on a microphone. It's hard to say, guys, go spend this cost on a microphone. However, this microphone is pretty awesome, and I use it all the time, and most of the time it's my main microphone that I use. I'm currently testing this one. This is the Lewitt Ray microphone using its new Aura technology, whatever the case. There's a video about to come out about this one. One of the things about the Shure SM7B is that it's just consistent. The noise rejection is really nice and things like that, but it doesn't come with like an interface. And so in all actuality, for you to run this microphone, if you don't have the materials, you're still in another $100, $200 just to be able to power this microphone and connect it to your your setup. So $500-600 to be able to run this out of pocket when you can get one of these other microphones for a much smaller fraction of the price. By the way, those of you curious, this Lewitt Ray microphone is also $350. However, I really like this technology with it. You should totally check out and subscribe to the channel to check out the review on this microphone when it comes out. That being said, there are some really feature-rich microphones on the market for the budget price. And for thinking on the SM7B level, you have this. This is the Elgato Wave DX. This is a $99 or $89, sometimes even $79 dynamic microphone that is pretty awesome. It's XLR only, kind of the same thing as the SM7B. It sounds great out of box and does really well, not only with being able to connect to any microphone arm that you might have, but it's from Elgato, so you get really good customer service if you ever have any issue. It comes in white and black. And as far as microphones that are going to be XLR only out of box, I really love this one. I mean, alongside something like the Rode PodMic, these are kind of in the same kind of performance range when it comes to dynamic microphone at that $100 price range. Now, on that same thread, for even cheaper, you can get into some different microphones that offer a lot of versatility and honestly some really great performance. Going down a step and staying on the same thread of Elgato, this is the Elgato Wave Neo, and I just recently compared this microphone to another microphone on the market around the same price, and you can get this for like $79 or something like that. But what I love about this is it comes with the Wave Link system, so you can actually go ahead and do a lot of just really cool control of what's happening with your game sounds, your voice chat, as well as music, and it just all comes included with this. It comes with an extension stand, and it can be attached to a mic stand. It's really small, it's nice, neat, but it only comes in white. That's the only thing that I see there. Is if you don't want a white microphone, you might not like it necessarily, but capacitive touch on the front and the Wavelink system, I think that's pretty cool. Working our way down even further in price, we're getting to 3 microphones that I've reviewed so many times on this channel that I still to this day highly recommend. We mentioned earlier, especially with the bundle deals, but the K688 is one of those microphones that when I first received it in, I think it was October of 2022, I was blown away at the performance. But for a $50, $60 microphone, USB-C as well as XLR, if you see right here on the back of it, it comes white, black, and pink. If you use it USB, you get touch on the device right here. You can be able to just plug your headphones into the back of it and control that. It is probably one of my favorite microphones that you can possibly get. And I even have a video showing a 3D print piece where you can actually convert it to where it looks even closer to like an SM7B, which is really cool. So out of all of those cheaper microphones, I'm even going to show you a couple more. This is my recommendation. If you have $50-60 and you want to spend it on something, you pick up one of these or even one of the kits with the K688. I just genuinely love this microphone. I think that it performs well above its weight class when it comes to microphones. Next is the Maono PD100X, and this is actually a different version of one that I've tested before. This one has just the RGB around the bottom, and the PD100X comes packaged very similarly to the Fifine AM8, which is also a really nice microphone, but these are meant to compete with each other, and both of them perform so good that I can't say you should get the Maono over the AM8 at this point, because both are pretty awesome. Dynamic microphones, cardioid pickup, USB-C as well as XLR. I think there's a lot of things to be able to say that both microphones perform really well, but that being said, this microphone is one of the most popular microphones on my channel, which is the Fifine AM8. I do love the way that it sounds. It looks really good, white, black, and pink. You can get it in a kit as well. And again, all of these links for this stuff will be down in the description. It supports the channel if you pick it up. But honestly, this is one of those microphones that will probably be one of the biggest purchased microphones on my channel, at least for a while. You can even get this thing on, like, I think it's AliExpress and some other platforms for even cheaper if you want longer shipping times. Really cool microphone. All these USB microphones will plug into your phone. You can use them for like podcasts on your phone and use that for recording. But really cool options. And as far as microphone goes, again, my final recommendation for you out of box is to go pick up the Fifine K688 or even one of its bundles, because I do think price to performance, you can't go wrong with this microphone. That being said, the most feature rich for the price is this, the Elgato Wave Neo. And it's kind of hard to say after I'm a person that uses so much Elgato product, not only in the fact of Wave Link and all the other stuff, it's just kind of crazy that you get so much for the price with the Wave Neo. Next up, we're talking about cameras, and this is a really wide range of not only product, but also just price, because you can go from cheap webcams all the way to what you're looking at now, which is a mirrorless camera on a teleprompter setup and everything like that. And depending on what you're wanting to invest your money in and what you value when it comes to your content will kind of determine what you're going to be using when it comes to your camera. Starting off with the cheapest camera, and one that is really popular on TikTok right now, is actually the eMeet 4K autofocus webcam. And when I reviewed this webcam, I was not highly impressed at first until I downloaded the 4K whatever eMeet software and was able to make some adjustments, and that won me over with this. I'm pretty sure you can get this on some of those cheaper websites for like $30 or less for 4K. I mean, 4K webcam quality, let's just be honest here. When it becomes, you know, just a webcam to pick up, purchase, plug in, it was really awesome for the price. And honestly, the autofocus on here is kind of crazy good. And I mean like really good. Its big downsides are the fact that it doesn't have like locked down brightness, and every time you kind of move forward in and out, the compensation kind of adjusts, and if you do lock it down, you lose frame rate. So there's a lot of downsides for specific things, but for a plug and play webcam for the price, I think it's awesome. And especially if you're using this, you know, as a small little webcam down in the corner of your game stream and no one's like really highly paying attention to like each pixel and really kind of pixel peeping, this is a really awesome option to get started if you're needing a dedicated webcam. Now, I can't go too far in this video without mentioning something that's really awesome, and that's your phone. And there are programs that allow you to use your phone for free and connect it to your computer using the back cameras or front cameras as the way to actually capture and use a camera. A really popular program that does this is Camo, and I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description. I've done several content reviews for them and everything, but honestly, it does so much really awesome stuff that it's one of those things that you should check it out and try it out for free and have some fun with it because of how awesome it is at connecting your phone to your computer or to your anything to be able to use it as your webcam. And one of the important things about that is you don't have to invest any more money if you already have a phone. Now, if you don't, obviously you do, but if you do have a phone, all you have to do is just connect your cable to your computer, open up this program, and you already have a webcam that's already better than the quality-wise as something like a $30 webcam right here. Next, I'm going to talk about two Elgato products. This is the Elgato Facecam Mark II and then the Elgato Facecam Neo. And the Facecam Neo coming in at a pretty cheap price, being able to perform the way it does, kind of on par with maybe the eMeet 4K, but not at 4K, but 1080p, is pretty impressive. And the 1080p Facecam Mark II is pretty awesome in his performance as well. I'm showing footage of that right now so that you can see them. But what I'm really impressed is this software. Not only are you able to save everything to the camera, but it's always going to look the way you want it to every time you boot it up. There's a lot of really cool options inside of their Camera Hub software, and for the price, the Mark II being just, I think it's like $120 or so, something like that. Really good performance if you want a dedicated webcam. It doesn't have a microphone, so you don't have to worry about it changing your microphone setting, then obviously saving things on board. I think that's what's really cool. And again, all of the Camera Hub software stuff from like broadcast, from NVIDIA helping you out with like background removal and stuff, I think that's really cool that it's built into the software to give you a lot of versatility in your look for your camera. A couple of honorable mentions are the AVerMedia PW515. I thought this was a really awesome 4K webcam. I think that for the price, it's a little overpriced for the performance that it does, especially with 4K webcams being one of those things that is it really needed to have when you have a 4K webcam that's going to obviously underperform something like a 4K mirrorless camera. 4K webcams are hard to justify when you're looking at like $200 webcams, especially when for not much more you can probably get a mirrorless camera that can connect to your computer. But if you want something that's just dedicated and not a camera that you have to find other batteries for and lenses and everything like that, it is something to consider, along with the Facecam Pro from Elgato. I don't think this matches the budget that it should be. I think that it is well overpriced, but that being said, it is 4K 60, and it does look really awesome if you lower it down to 1080p 60 or 1080p 30 and use different compressions, because it does look really awesome for a 4K webcam, especially with its larger sensor size. I just don't think that the price matches its performance. Now, that being said, when it comes to cameras, actual cameras, for example, up here I have a Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, and what you're currently looking at, this camera is the Sony a6700. And for the lens, if you're just curious, this is the Sigma 16mm f1.4, and I actually have a quarter in like black mist pro filter on the front of it, and that's how you're getting this shot right here. And I'm currently shooting in S-Log3 and a whole bunch of stuff to be able to achieve this depth, and there's a huge learning curve when it comes to these cameras. That being said, there are some really good cameras that are coming out that are creator-minded cameras, and one that I would recommend if you can find it for cheap is the Sony ZV-1F. Now, this camera specifically, for around $400, I think you can get it new about $400, you can do 4K 30, and it's really wide. And I use this camera a lot on this channel when I was doing content and do 1080p 60 out to your computer. Really nice, really neat, no capture card needed. And a lot of these actually do, like the ZV-E10 Mark II is a $800 camera, $900 camera, $1,000 camera. It does USB-C out to the computer as well as the a6700. And for a price to performance, I mean, I love this camera and this visibility, but you know, this is what I do for a living. I would never suggest that somebody who is just getting started streaming purchase a mirrorless camera for streaming. I mean, even when I first got started, I was using webcams, and then I went to a Sony a5100 with a really cheap $20 capture card that in total costed me $250 back in 2019. So like, that was when I was getting really serious and really making content. So do I recommend you go and purchase all that today? No. I think that your cell phone and a free app is going to give you very similar performance if you line up everything and understand lighting and things like that. And on that same note, a camera is only as good as the lights. So I'll drop down and leave a few links to some lights that you consider. That are some panels, like one that's right up here, as well as this. And I'll link a video that I just did with Lightstream talking about camera tips that are really awesome and something that you should consider. So all of that out of the way, what camera do I recommend that you pick up for you as a beginning creator? It's hard to not go with Elgato here. The Facecam Mark II is one of those cameras that it does perform well above its weight class. When it released, it was crazy good. It doesn't have a microphone on here, so it doesn't mess with any of your settings when you like plug it in. It's just a camera. All of the software that comes from Elgato with this is absolutely cool. And in that same case, it saves everything to the actual camera, no fiddling with the settings inside of OBS or whatever platform you're doing. I think that's one of the big benefits of a camera when you have somebody making it specifically for streaming. This is what I would recommend. Before we get into capture cards, I want to mention a very special category here, and that is stream controllers. Specifically, we're talking about stream decks, and I want to go ahead and tell you that one of the things people ask me about a lot is what stream deck should I pick up? And there are so many options, especially if you're looking at like Elgato or an AVerMedia or something like that. If you're looking at Elgato, you have the Stream Deck Plus, the 15 button, the massive XL. You also have the 6 button, and then you have the Elgato, what is it, the Stream Deck Neo, which is an 8 button with capacitive touch buttons. And out of all of those, they have different options and things. Like the Stream Deck Plus has an attachment on the back for the Wave XLR, a lot of cool things that you can do. So out of all of those, which ones do I recommend? The one that I think that if you're going to get into the Stream Deck game, is to look at the Stream Deck Neo. 8 buttons, you get a really cool like little panel on the front, capacitive touch. It's really nice. You get a lot of really cool features for the price that the Stream Deck Neo is. If you do have the investment, the Stream Deck Plus is amazing. It doesn't matter what microphone you pick up. For example, you pick up a Fifine AM8 and you're like, oh, I wish I had Wavelink. The Stream Deck Plus comes with Wavelink, so you can actually use it with any microphone. And I think that's one of the benefits when you look at the price of it. You're like, that's kind of expensive for Stream Deck Plus, but you're also getting software with it as well. 2 pieces of software, stream controller as well as that, and the knobs and a whole bunch of other options. If you're on a big budget, or a small budget, the Fifine D6 Fifine controller, which is pretty popular on vertical platforms right now. I've already reviewed it on this channel, and I said that the quality of the buttons and the actual visuals of the buttons were on par with the Stream Deck Plus. Their software has continued to get updating, and they're adding a whole bunch of stuff that you can do to it. Is it Elgato software? No, but will it do almost everything that you'll probably ever do as a streamer just getting started into the game for probably like half of the price at least? Yes. It'll change scenes. You'll be able to turn on and off filters, etc., all that stuff, control your OBS. Really cool, really neat. However, you know, it is not the Elgato product, not what most people are recommending when you're looking at stream controllers, because this is a smaller company and it is a budget product. However, it was really cool to play with. So out of all those, which ones do I recommend? I think this is the one where you spend a little extra money and you go Stream Deck Plus. You get the Wavelink software to go with any microphone you currently want to plug in, USB or XLR, and I think it's really cool. Stream Deck Plus, huge recommendation. You should totally check it out. Also on stream controllers, you have the AVerMedia Live Gamer Nexus, and which is probably the most universal, versatile tool that you can get. And you can not only get XLR connection on the back to be able to plug in whatever microphone you want, you get a splitting software just like Wavelink from their AVerMedia software. We're able to control game sounds. You get a stream mix, you get a game mix, you get a U mix, all that stuff, which is really cool. But you also get the Stream Deck buttons on the front. You get an LCD screen, you get pads to be able to activate sounds. It's really neat for one single device to basically just control your entire stream. And it's one of those things that you should totally go check out my review, because you also can look at your Twitch chat on the device that controls your camera, that controls your sound, that controls everything. It's kind of a really cool device you should check out. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the next piece. Now in the next section, we're talking about capture cards, and specifically which ones that I would recommend based upon what console you might have or what resolution you're trying to capture, especially for price to performance. Now, there are several capture cards that I'm gonna be talking about, but there is one specifically that just recently released that I have to say is miles ahead, not only in what it offers for performance, but also at its price point and how easy it is to use. And we're going to go ahead and talk about that one first and talk about the other capture cards and where I would recommend them. That first capture card is actually the AVerMedia Live Gamer Ultra S. And yes, as far as a person that uses everything Elgato, what's capturing this camera is Elgato. I have so much Elgato on my desk. This specific capture card does so much. 4K 60 capture, pass through, HDR stuff, high refresh 1440p, 240 hertz 1080p, all of that stuff for just over $100 is insane performance to price perspective. And all these other capture cards are either maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 years old, and if they were updated price to match, maybe they would have competed in the same place, but most of them have not. And in that same case, for what it offers, it's insane what it does. And I'll show some clips right now of my recent review of it. You can check that out on my channel later, but I genuinely loved what this capture card offered for the price. Now, if that's what I'm recommending, yes. Now, if you're a person who plays 4K 60 and you need to capture 4K 60 or high refresh 1440p or 1080p, that's the card that I'm just going to go ahead and recommend to you. But I'm going to go ahead and mention the other capture cards as well. Now, the one that's actually capturing this camera right now is this, the 4K Pro from Elgato. And this thing is crazy overkill. It does 8K 30 or 4K 60 HDR and a whole bunch of other things. And specifically why I'm using this one to capture my camera is because I am doing 10-bit 4K 60 capture out of this camera to that capture card, and that's what you're looking at right now is from that A6700 4K 60 out to a capture card using this. And so the one reason that I really use this is because of multi-app support. I can not only have the capture card open in like OBS, like what it is right now, but I can have it open in multiple programs. So I can be in a Zoom call as well as capturing an OBS. I can be in 2 different programs streaming, which is really neat in itself, but I like having that versatility of multi-app support, but not every capture card, at least from Elgato, supports it. But one of those things that I do love, and the 4K 60 Pro that I used before also did it, but then when they sent this over, I was like, this is a no-brainer. This is the one that I'm going to be using. Now, this is a PCIe capture card, and not a lot of you are going to be able to plug this into your system. However, this is one of those capture cards that if you want the best capture card on the market that's going to do anything that you could want to do it with it, this is obviously the capture card that you're going to use because of everything that it does. Now, just a step below that, you have the HDMI 2.1 capture cards. For example, you have the 4KX, and then right behind me is the AVerMedia Live Gamer Ultra HDMI 2.1. Both cards offer very similar performance for a very similar price range, around $200, to be able to get HDMI 2.1 capture, pass through, all of that stuff to be able to do what you need. 4K 120, 4K 144 pass through, capture, all of that stuff, high refresh, HDR. There's both of them offer almost identical things between the two of them, just two different capture cards. There's still not multi-app support on this one nor on the AVerMedia one, but when it comes to HDMI 2.1 capture cards, both of these are something that I use. Specifically, this one is right here on my desk capturing the consoles whenever I need to do console capture. Honestly, I think it's a toss-up between which one's better between the other one. So if you're looking for an HDMI 2.1 USB capture card, either one of these work great. I don't think there's one that I'm gonna recommend over the other. Yeah, that's about that. Now, Elgato does have some cheaper budget capture cards like this, the Game Capture Neo, which does 4K 60 pass-through or 1080p 60 capture. And for like $120, you can pick this up. That's great and all fine, right? Except I just mentioned to you that there's another capture card on the market that does 4K 60 capture for about the same price from AVerMedia. So I think AVerMedia is obviously the card to go with the Live Gamer Ultra S over the Game Capture Neo. However, this is a really cool capture card, easy to use, to plug in, and actually, this is not the only capture card that does it, but I actually showed this one specifically being able to connect this camera to my Xbox and use it as my webcam. That can be any capture card. It's just, I love this card. It's really cool. I like the white aesthetic. It's small. It's supposed to be plug and play, and a lot of these cards today are plug and play, so that's not really an issue. And now on the super cheap budget side, Fifine did send over this. This is the V3 video capture card, and I think this one's like 50 or 60 bucks. 1080p 60 capture. It's supposed to be 4K 30 pass through, but I could never get it to work, and it doesn't do any 4K capture. And if you just want the cheapest capture card that does do some pass through for 1080p, let's say you're still on an Xbox One, or maybe you're still playing on a 1080p monitor and you want a cheap capture card to do it, this is an option to go with. You could also, if you don't want to do pass through, you can go to Walmart and actually pick up a little small streaming card to be able to use as well for like 20 bucks. So do I necessarily recommend this Fifine one? I said no in the video because we're kind of past 1080p capture cards, and I don't think you should spend $50 here when you can spend just a little bit more to get a 4K capture card that performs well above the spot on market, which is really cool. That Live Gamer Ultra S that I just reviewed just kind of took all of the credit away from price to performance from other cards. So it's hard not to say that's the card you go purchase. So to wrap all of this up into one small summary, if I were to buy today the products that I would like to use for streaming, and I had the money to do it, it wasn't a problem, I was just going to buy the 4 products. Let's say a microphone, a camera, a stream controller, as well as a microphone. What 4 would I buy? Number 1, I would buy a K688 bundle deal like we talked about earlier, maybe even the T to be able to get the nicer actual boom arm. And then I would go ahead and get the Stream Deck Plus so I could get Wavelength to get all of that control from the Wave software with it. As far as the camera, I would go with the Elgato Facecam Mark II because I think it does punch well above its class. And for the capture card, I would be getting the AVerMedia Live Gamer Ultra S because I think that it does perform well above its class. And as a PlayStation as well as an Xbox, to be able to capture in game at 4K 60, it's kind of a no-brainer with those. That'll bring us to the end of this video. If you have any specific recommendations for these categories that I might have missed, please let me know down in the comments so other people can see them, and I would love to be able to read through them and maybe find something that I haven't reviewed yet that you highly recommend that I would like to go pick up, purchase, and then take my hand at seeing if I like it or not to be able to recommend to you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Check out one of these 2 videos, and then we'll see you over there. Thank you. Love you. Goodbye. Have a good day.